Will be discuss about some important questions or expected questions in subject measurement and instrumentation. Okay, to score well in your diploma CET. Here, uh, okay, we are going to present. Okay, here Mr. Manjunath Hayar, Assistant Professor, Department of ECE, Canara Engineering College, Bantwal. And okay, other faculty, Mr. Sujit Pai, Assistant Professor, Department of ECE, Canara Engineering College, okay, Bantwal. Okay, first question is about the degree of exactness of a measurement compared to the expected value is. So, which is the right answer? Okay, option A is accuracy, B is resolution, C is precision, and D is sensitivity. Okay, so I think option is okay, A, accuracy. Yes, because uh, the basic meaning of accuracy is what? Okay, let's take an example like this. So when I'm going to measure okay, voltage across the resistance, okay, my expected voltage should be okay 10 volts. So I'll take the two voltmeters. So by first voltmeter, okay, when I use a first voltmeter, it shows the result as a 9.8 volts. Okay, but my expected voltage across the resistance is 10 volts. And from second voltmeter, when I measure the voltage across the same resistor, and it shows the reading as 9.9 volts. So then, which is the right answer, or which is more accurate, 9.8 or 9.9? So that is what the meaning is. Okay, so 9.9 is very near to the expected value. My expected okay value is the 10 volts, but from voltmeter to we are able to measure the 9.9, wherein from voltmeter to from voltmeter 1 it is 9.8. okay, so voltmeter 2 it gives the more accurate value compared to okay voltmeter 1. Question number 2 is the smallest change in a measured variable to which an instrument will respond is. Okay, the right option is I think option B. Yes. Okay. Why? Option B is the right answer is okay. We'll take okay. For example, we'll take the okay. We'll take two voltmeter again. Okay. So this time we'll take digital voltmeter. So from the first voltmeter, we are able to measure the voltage okay up to 10 volts, and the second voltmeter also up to 10 volts. Okay. Now okay, by using voltmeter 1, okay, I'll change the range. Okay, uh, by using a okay voltmeter 1 and voltmeter 2, I am able to measure up to 9 volts. Okay, from 1 to 9 volts. Okay. We cannot measure more than okay 9 volts. Just imagine that. Suppose okay, by using a first voltmeter, I'm able to measure only the okay volts like 1 volt, 2 volt, 3 volt, 4 volt, 5 volts up to 9 volts, and it will not measure the okay decimal values of voltage like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 up to 1.9. Then it is 2 volts, then 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. Okay, so it is not possible from voltmeter 1. But wherein voltmeter 2, okay, when we use the voltmeter 2, so we are able to measure the voltage from 1 to 9, wherein it measures even like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.2. Okay, we are able to measure even zero point 0.1 voltage difference also. So that is the smallest 0.1 voltage is the smallest voltage that the voltmeter can be I mean that respond we can get from the voltmeter 2. But wherein what is the smallest change we can make the difference in voltmeter 1 is that is 1 volt. Okay, so 1 to 2 volt, 2 to 3 volts, 3 to 4 volts, 1 voltage difference we can measure when we use the voltmeter 1. But in case of voltmeter 2, okay, we are able to measure even 0.1 okay difference value also. So that is what okay the resolution is. Next, the measure of consistency or repeatability of measurements, that is a successive reading, do not differ is. So among four options, the right answer is okay, precision. I think we'll see. Yes, the right answer is okay, precision. Why? The answer is precision here. Okay, if we understand the statement of the given question, so the consistency or repeatability. Okay, let's take an example. We are doing an experiment to measure voltage across the resistor. Okay, uh, I'm expecting the voltage as a 10 volts to be measured. Okay, first time when I measured, it shows 10 volts. Then when I measure the second time by using the same device, it shows 10.1. Next, again, when I measure the voltage across the resistor, so third time it shows the value 9.9. Then I'll go to okay, fourth attempt, and I'll try to measure what is the voltage across the same resistor by using same device. So it shows again the 10 volts. So like that. Okay. So when we repeatedly measuring some quantity, okay, electrical quantity of like okay, current or the voltage, so it should give the okay result which is near to the expected value. So then we can say that the device is precised. So after we okay, repeatedly doing the experiment of measuring any quantity of electrical quantity, it should not show the okay much difference in the measured value. Like okay, for the same example, it should not show the difference of 5 volts or okay 4 volts. So 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 is okay, fine. Next question is about the ratio of the change in output of the instrument to a change of input or measured variable is accuracy, resolution, precision and sensitivity. Okay, so we have understood what is accuracy, resolution and precision, and okay, we know that so what is the right answer here? So it's sensitivity, right? Okay, yes, obviously we know that okay, when input changes, output should change. Okay, so in that way we define the sensitivity of the instrument. Next, human errors in making measurements are whether it is a crass error, system error, errors or random errors or none of these. Okay, so I think the right answer is option A, that is gross errors. Yes, okay, how to define the gross error? So sometimes when we measure some quantity like voltage or okay, voltage or current, okay, by using voltmeter and ammeter respectively, okay, there are chances, okay, chances are there to make the okay mistakes even from the observer side. So it happens most of the time with the analog devices, okay, when we are using analog devices, but in the digital devices, okay, when we are using a digital devices, so it gives the more accurate value. Okay, so the same value we can observe or we can record it. But in case of okay analog meter, the needle will point out towards the particular direction, but when we are measuring from different angle, okay, by standing in front of the okay analog device, when we are measuring the okay needle okay point or value from different angle, so sometimes it shows the different values. Okay, so this is how the cross error occurs. The range of a voltmeter can be extended by using a okay series resistance or shunt resistance or series shunt resistance and none of these. So I hope so option A is the right answer. We'll see. Yes, option A is the right answer. Okay. Uh, so here simple to understand that the voltage drop across the series okay resistance or the series connection of a resistance will be okay it's a different but where the voltage drop across the okay the resistance which are connected parallel is okay, the same. In case of okay, the current drop, uh, okay, current across the resistance which are connected in series will be the okay, same, and current across the parallel branch will be different. Same here, okay, the same concept we can apply here. So if you want to extend the voltage that we need to measure from the voltmeter, if you want to increase or decrease, okay, the number of resistance which are connected in series should be increase or decrease. Okay, so that's why okay, it's a series resistance. A series resistance is used along with a PMMC, okay, permanent magnetic moving coil meter, to form a whether for voltmeter, wattmeter, ammeter, or energy meter. So I think option C is the right answer. Okay, option C is the right answer. Yes, ammeter. Okay, so the don't get confused between the previous question and okay, here the current question. So here it is inside the okay, structure of ammeter, where we okay, manufacture the ammeter by using PMMC, okay, permanent magnetic moving coil. It's an internal structure, okay, or internal connection. So in internally, I mean, inside the ammeter device, we can find the PMMC, okay, permanent magnetic moving coil, which are coils which are connected series with the okay, several resistance. Okay, where in the previous question, so if you want to increase the okay, the range of voltage that we need to measure, means like it should be in series connection of the resistors. Next, a shunt resistance is used along with the PMMC okay, meter to form uh, to voltmeter, wattmeter, ammeter, or okay, energy meter. Yes, again the option is the right option is C, I guess. Yes, ammeter. So here this question and previous to previous question, I mean question number 6, okay, are similar. The first of all, what we should understand is shunt resistance means it's having a very less value of resistance. Okay, it's not too much like in terms of mega ohms or kilo ohms. It's having very less value of resistance, and which is that is connected okay, parallel to the PMMC okay, the meter. So as I told you that okay, so when we want to or sorry uh, mm, like voltage across the voltage drop across the okay, connection of series resistance would be same, and okay, voltage drop across the parallel branches is a different. In case of current, voltage sorry, current across the okay, series connection of resistance is similar, and across the parallel okay, branches is a different. Okay, so when we want to increase or decrease the okay, current meter measurement, okay, the range of okay, the current that we are going to measure, when we want to increase that level, or if you want to decrease that level, okay, the shunt resistance should be connected. So that should be connected parallel, because in parallel connection of resistance or parallel branches, current drop across the parallel branches is different. Okay. So next, voltmeter sensitivity is expressed in terms of okay, in what way? I think option is ohm per voltage. Yes, ohm per voltage. So like how we are going to okay, represent the speed kilometer per hour or kilometer per minute or meter per okay, second, whatever. So here the same thing, okay, like how much ohm is required okay, to measure per voltage unit. So next, one of the following instruments is suitable for measuring AC only. Okay, so the right answer is option D. I think induction type. Okay, So if you understand what is the induction type, we know that in induction we have n number of coils, and okay, so due to the electricity flow in the coils, the magnetic field will be induced, and because of that we can observe the EMF in the core region. Okay, so in that way, okay, so I can say that the induction type okay is the right answer for this particular question. Next, the range of an ammeter can be extended by using a I think by using shunt resistance, that is option A. Yes, the right answer is the same. So as I mentioned earlier, what is a shunt resistance? The shunt resistance is a small resistance. Okay, its value is very small, and it is connected parallel. Okay. Uh, Again, we can understand something like this. So voltage drop across the current drop across the parallel branch is different, right? Okay, so current drop across the first branch parallel branch is different from second branch, and third branch, so on. Okay, so if all the resistance are connected in series, the current across is the each resistance in series connection, it is the same. Okay, there is no difference or difference in the current that we measured. When we'll get the difference value in measured or difference in current only in the parallel branch. Okay, so that way the right answer is shunt resistance. An electromagnetic device that contains a coil rotating on a jeweled bearing mount is D'Arsonval moment. Okay, so yes, option B is the right answer. So if you understand, if you understood the theory part, so during the chapter 4 discussion, we'll come to know that so what is the inside connections of PMMC or ammeter, or what is the structure of permanent basic the permanent magnetic moving coil. Okay, question number 13. It's about Wien bridge. Okay, Wien bridge is used for the measurement of frequency, resistance, inductance, or capacitance. I think the right answer is frequency. Yes, and so in theory under chapter 14, okay, we might come across several bridge circuits, and we know that each bridge circuit having some specific applications. So like that, Wien bridge is used to measure uh, the parameter frequency. So next, about Maxwell's bridge is used for measurement of frequency, resistance, inductance, or capacitance. I think option C is right answer. Yes, option C is right answer. Okay, so any bridge is having four arms, right? So in each arms might having the resistance or the collection of resistance, capacitance, and inductor, whether in series connection or parallel connection. Okay, so that depends on specific bridge circuit. But you take any bridge circuit, it should have four arms. Okay, in each arms it should have the resistance or inductance and capacitance, or the collection of these three. So where in particular Maxwell bridge, I think we might use resistance, inductance, also capacitance, I guess, where in this particular bridge we are able to we are able to find the value of inductance by using specific mathematical expression or equation. Okay, by knowing all other parameters, or all other parameters value is given, like resistance value is given, and capacitance value is given, and frequency sometimes, frequency is given. We are able to find out the inductance, the value of inductance by using Maxwell bridge. Which one of the following bridge circuit is used for the measurement of resistance? Among four bridges. So which bridge is the right answer? I guess Wheatstone bridge is right answer. We'll see. Yes, option A is the right answer. Okay, so if we observe the Wheatstone bridge connection, basically having four arms, and each arms having okay, the resistance connections. Okay, I mean the resistors are connected. So by knowing all the resistors, okay, and we can find out okay, uh, the resistance which is unknown in the bridge. So this is what the application of Wheatstone bridge. The time base of CRO is developed by. The right answer is option C. Okay, sawtooth waveform. CRO is developed by using sawtooth okay, waveform. We know the structure of each given okay, different waveform having different structure. Square waveform is having like pulses, and sine wave is a sinusoidal signal output from okay, built in clock. Okay, it's like pulses only. But inside the CRO we'll use the sawtooth okay, waveform. It's a kind of like a triangle shape. Okay, the time based generator in a CRO will be present in whether horizontal section or vertical section, grid to CRT or EHT section. Okay, so uh, the working of a CRO, and if you have like come across the okay, the inside function of a CRO, it's having different sections, and mainly okay, it will be concentrating on horizontal section and vertical section. Okay, uh, so horizontal section is having its okay, one okay, output, and the vertical section also it gives its own output. So here we are talking about a time based generator, right? So for that the right answer is horizontal section, I guess. Yes, option A is horizontal okay, section, and for vertical section I think um, it's to measure the voltage okay, from uh, x-axis. I mean, like what is the peak voltage I guess, but I'm not sure. Okay, the CRO uses like what method of focusing? The right answer is okay, electrostatic. Okay, so go to next. So in CRT, the highest potential, positive potential is given to which side? Okay, whether for focusing electrodes or vertical deflection plates, or okay, post deflection accelerating anode or pre-accelerating anode. The right answer is I think option B. Yes, post deflection accelerating anode. We'll come to the option A, focusing electrodes. Okay, uh, I think we'll the total this year. This question is all about the CRT. Okay, cathode ray tube. So just before the okay, the display. The focusing electrodes, they try to focus the okay, electrons towards vertically or horizontally. Okay, the vertical deflection plate, so it's try to okay, deflect the electrons beam okay, towards vertically. Okay, it helps to measure the voltage, because okay, when the electrons are moved towards okay, vertically, we can see that okay, the waveform, okay, like how much voltage it has. Then pre-accelerating anode, it is at the initial stage when electrons just started okay, moving, and when the electrons are started moving, it will pass through okay, vertical deflection plates and horizontal deflection plates. Okay, uh, so by the time when the electrons are try to okay, reach the CRT okay, screen, its acceleration or speed will be down. Okay, so we want to improve the speed in acceleration, or okay, we want to improve the speed of okay, electrons they are trying to hit the screen. So when those electrons okay, we want to make the acceleration more, means okay, it should be attracted by the positive potential. So the highest positive potential is kept at the post deflection okay, accelerating anode, just to increase the speed of electrons and okay, try to reach the CRT screen. Next, Lissaj's figures are used for measuring which parameter, okay, for current, frequency, voltage, or resistance. Uh, the right answer is option B, frequency. Okay. Just if you Google it, you will get several images on Lissaj's figures. Okay. Or, also, we can say Lissaj's curves. Okay. So it basically it gives the structure of okay different structure to measure the different frequencies. Like for 1 kilohertz, so what is the okay what type of the figures or a curve it will okay. I mean we can observe, or for a 2 kilohertz, okay, something like that. So by just counting okay the curve end points or okay curve edges, we are able to measure okay. So what is exact the frequency? Okay, so it's about okay researchers figures is about to measure the parameter frequency. Triangular wave is converted into sine wave by okay what circuit of a function generator, clamper, filter, clippers, or okay resonant. So filters is not a right answer, because filters we use to filter whether okay high frequency or low frequency or particular frequency range. So the option B is not right answer. Clampers and clippers, the function of these two we know that okay. So I think a clipper is the right answer. Okay, option C. Uh, the clipper means it's just going to remove the particular portion in the okay waveform. So in a triangular wave we have a sharp edge at the okay at the one side. Okay, we want to clip or we want to remove that portions, and we make that okay sharp curve as a smooth curve. Okay, so in that way the answer is the right answer is clipper. So harmonic distortion analyzer is used to measure okay for different components in a waveform. No. Relative amplitudes of individual harmonics. No. Total harmonic content in a waveform might be none of these. Okay, the option C I feel okay the right answer, because so before that we should understand what is harmonic distortion. Okay, the meaning, the exact meaning of harmonic distortion. Okay, so harmonic distortion is nothing but the kind of noise is present in the fundamental waveform or a main waveform. Okay, and we just want to know that okay, or we just just concentrating on the main waveform. We don't want the noise to be present in the fundamental waveform, right? So we want to remove that noise, or we want to find out that noise. Then how we will going to find out? So it's like something about we are finding okay the total harmonic content in a waveform. So which means just we are going to calculate, or we are going to measure okay what is the total harmonic content which is okay present in the waveform along with the noise, and the total power of okay the fundamental waveform, just by taking the difference of these two power measurements, or the okay the measured power between the uh, power of main or fundamental waveform with the total okay power which is including both noise and fundamental waveform. Okay, just by taking the difference of these two power, we can understand how much noise is present in the okay fundamental waveform. So now coming to the next question, wave analyzer is used to measure okay relative amplitude of individual harmonics, different components in a waveform, total harmonic content in a waveform. Okay, none of these. So after we read out the 4 points,
I can say that the option C is not the right answer, because in the previous slide we have done the discussion, right? So we know that what is the total harmonic content in a waveform. Like it's about to find out the power, okay, present in the fundamental or a main waveform, and the waveform which is having the noise or harmonic distortion. So option C is not the right answer, and coming we can say that maybe ABC. Okay. I think the answer is relative amplitude of individual harmonics. Okay, so when I say the harmonics, it's basically what the noise. Okay, noise present in the main waveform, so which we need to transfer. Uh, so when I say the noise present in the present or associated with the main waveform, it may be the one noise or more than one noise. So the one, I mean, the single noise means so the single distortion, and many noise means okay, it's have many distortions, something like that. So wave analyzer is used to measure, I think, to relative amplitude of individual harmonics. Okay, I think the right answer is option E. We'll see that. Yes. Okay. Uh, okay. For that, but for this particular question, the right answer is okay, option E. Now, bandwidth of a complex signal can be found by whether in CRO, B scope, A scope, or spectrum analyzer. The right answer is, I think, option D, because uh, so in the question or the statement, when I observe the word, or okay, in the statement there is a bandwidth, I can say it's some particular duration. Okay, so in the frequency spectrum it's have some ranges, okay, like 1 kilohertz to 2 kilohertz, or 5 to 5 kilohertz to 10 kilohertz, something like that. Okay, it's basically what the spectrum. We can relate that, okay, the bandwidth even for the time also, it's like the duration, like 1 minute to 10 minutes or something like that, and even we can relate it to the light, okay, the spectrum of a light. So in that perspective, I think the option D is the right answer, because of the term bandwidth. Okay. Uh, Option D, what it says is the spectrum analyzer. We'll see the okay right answer. Option D, yes. In the what section of CRO circuitry delay line is found? In a vertical section or horizontal section, or timer based section, or a CRT section. Okay, so inside the CRO we are able to see all these things. Okay, vertical plate, horizontal plate, and time base, and okay, cathode ray tube, or this the screen. Okay, like the CRO screen. Okay, that is what the CRT. uh, Here in the what section of CRO circuitry delay? Okay, yes. So delay we can okay, observe in vertical section. Okay, not in any other okay, other sections like horizontal, time base, timer base, and CRT. So the right answer is vertical. Next, voltage sweep generator are used in either CRO or TV, both A and B, and none of these. Here, first of all, we should understand what is a sweep. Okay, voltage sweep generator. Okay, and after that, we should okay, come to know that what is the application of a voltage sweep generator. Uh, okay, here, so according to the application of voltage sweep generator, we can use the okay, voltage sweep generator both in CRO and TV. So I think option C is the right answer. The output voltage of a typical thermocoupler, the thermocouple is okay, less than 100 millivolts or greater than 1 volt, and the thermocoupler vary resistance, not voltage. Okay, None of the above. Here, firstly, we should understand what is a thermocouple. The thermocouple is basically having two dissimilar okay, conductor having electrical junction, and we used to measure uh, the temperature. So at the thermocoupler junction, so by measuring voltage, so we are going to measure what is the temperature here by using a thermocouple. And what the output voltage of a typical thermocouple is less than 100 millivolts, I guess. Yes. The resistive change of a strain gauge is what is the right option? Option A, B, C, or D? Okay, we should understand first what is a strain gauge. Okay, when you want to measure what is a strain or a pressure, okay, uh, so we used to measure by using something the circuit like the bridge. Okay, uh, so in the bridge circuit, as we know that it's having four arms, and okay, in the three arms we have connected the known resistance values, and at the unknown the resistance at the unknown resistance which we kept at the fourth arm. So there from the fourth arm we used to measure what is the strain gauge actually. I mean what is the strain, okay, that we are applying externally. Okay, it's something like Wheatstone bridge, finding a unknown resistance by using the resistance which are kept the resistance in the three arms, and all the resistance which are present in other three arms are known resistance values. Okay, so in fourth arm in Wheatstone bridge we used to find out what is a resistance value. So similar to that, here we are going to find out the strain, but not the resistance. But by finding the resistance value, so indirectly we are finding what is the strain. So like externally, when we apply some strain or a pressure on the resistance, since the resistance and strain are relatively proportional to each other, as the strain increases the resistance also increases, or the strain decreases the resistance also decreases. So if you find out what is the resistance, so we are going to find out what is the strain. So something like that. So in order to, according to this statement, I think the right answer is option C, is based on the gauge factor, but is typically less than on a ohm. Yes, the right answer is the same, option C. What is the moving part of a linear variable differential transformer? Okay, a linear variable differential transformer, in short form we say LVDT. So how it works? It's like we have a permanent magnetic coils. So where when we consider two permanent magnetic coils keeping at some distance, okay. So in between the permanent magnetic coils, we are able to see some magnetic flux, and because of that magnetic flux, electric field will be generated. Okay, so that is what actually the core. Okay, the core is having what? EMF, magnetic flux or electric field. So the right answer is option D. A transducer converts like the basic the meaning of transducers is what? It is going to convert the energy from one form to another form, like electrical signal to mechanical signal, or thermal energy to electrical energy, or electrical energy to thermal energy, vice versa. So the basic concept of we are using a transducer devices is to convert one form of energy into another form of energy. So the option The right option is option C. An inverse transducer, okay, converts into what kind of like energy, from which energy to, okay, another form of energy. So transducer is nothing but converting energy from another form to another energy form to, okay, like one form of energy to another form of energy. But in inverse transducer, okay, it's about, okay, the conversion is very specific. Like we are going to convert from, okay, electrical to mechanical, or mechanical to electrical, or thermal energy to, okay, electrical energy, or electrical energy to thermal energy. Okay, and if you know well about inverse transducer converts, so it's always convert electrical energy into any other form of energy, like electrical energy into mechanical, or electrical energy to thermal energy, so something like that. So the right answer is option A. One of the following can act as an inverse transducer. Okay, from the previous slide we understood what is an inverse transducer. It converts electrical energy to any other form of energy. Okay, uh, so after we understood so what is inverse transducer, the right answer is a piezoelectric crystal, because so what is a piezoelectric crystal? Okay, what it does means, squeeze a certain crystal, okay, like quartz, you can make electricity flow through them. This is piezoelectricity, also called as the piezoelectric effect, is the appearance of the piezoelectric potential, a voltage in another words, across the sides of the crystal when you subject it to mechanical force or stress by squeezing it. Okay, so the right answer is option D. A thermistor is a transducer which converts to temperature to resistance, or temperature to current, temperature to voltage, or none of these. So the correct answer is, I think, option A. And most of you know that what, okay, that the thermistor. It's a combination of temperature and resistor. Okay, so it is called as a thermistor. Okay, so when you come to the thermistor, so there are two different types. Like when the external temperature is increases, the resistance can be increased. So that is having a positive temperature coefficient, and some resistors values will be decreased when the external temperature is increased. So that's okay, negative temperature coefficient. So the thing is what, the thermistor, if we, okay, just divide that term, it's a combination of temperature plus resistor, together is called as thermistor. A thermistor exhibits, okay, only a negative change of resistance with the increase in temperature, only a positive change of resistance with increase in temperature, or a positive or negative change of resistance with increase in temperature depending on the material used, and none of these. So clearly I mentioned in the previous slide, it's having positive temperature coefficient or negative temperature coefficient. So the right answer is option C. Thermocouples points are given, okay, so based on the thermocouples are commonly used temperature transducers, require reference junction okay, comparison, and have a low output voltage level. So the right answer is okay. So before we go to the right answer, we'll discuss about what is a thermocouples. Okay, so it is very similar to the temperature transducers. Okay, by using a thermocouple couples, if we know about the thermocouples. It's having two dissimilar. The conductor is connected. Two dissimilar metals are connected at the common junction. So in order to measure, so what is the temperature changes. Again, when we divide the thermocouples, it's like the temperature. Thermo means the temperature and couples means the two things. uh, okay the two things means we have connected two different metals at the common junction. So it is going to satisfy the option A also, and it requires the reference junction comparison. Yes, it's having the common junction, right? So it is also going to satisfy the option B. Have a low output voltage level. Yes, as the temperature increases or the decreases, the change in the voltage level is in a small range. So it is going to satisfy ABC. So the right answer is all the above. The operation of a thermocouple is based on whether Seebeck effect or Faraday's law, Thomson effect, and none of these. Mm, the right answer is option A. That is a Seebeck. Seebeck effect. We'll understand what is a Seebeck effect. So then we'll come to know that why the answer is option A. Seebeck effect is the phenomenon in which a temperature difference between the two dissimilar okay uh, two dissimilar conductor or semiconductor produces a voltage difference between the two substances. So that is what the Seebeck effect. So in thermocouple, as I told you in earlier, so it uses the two dissimilar conductors or a semiconductor, and it's having a common junction, right? So it is going to satisfy the Seebeck effect. So the thermocouple basically what it's based on the Seebeck effect. So the right answer is option A, I guess. Yes, the right answer is option A. The EMF produces in a thermocouple is basically EMF is what? The voltage, right? Fine. So the voltage produced in a thermocouple is what? Option A, B, C, or D. So after we gone through the all four options, just you can pause and pause the video and go through all the options. The right answer is, I feel, option E, directly proportional to the temperature difference between the two junctions. Yes, as it's thermocouple is basically what it's uh, having positive temperature coefficient. As the temperature increases, the resistance increases. So when the resistance increases, voltage is also increases, because V is equal to IR, right? So it satisfies the option A. So I think the right answer is option A. Yes, the right answer is option A. Next, thermocouples are whether passive transducers, both active and passive transducers, or active transducers or output transducers. Mm, when you observe the circuit diagram for a thermocouples, or just try to Google it. And I'll come to the option C. So active transducers. So what active transducers means? The transducers which converts non-electrical quantities to electrical quantities without using any external sources, or the supply, voltages. So the thermocouples also, they are not using any external voltage sources. Without using external sources, it's going to convert non-electrical quantity to electrical quantity. Like the temperature is non-electrical quantity, which is going to convert as a voltage, right? So voltage is a electrical quantity. Fine. So satisfy the option C. So the right answer is option C, I guess. We'll see that. Yes, option C is the right answer. Inductive transducers are used in differential configuration because the output is not influenced by option A, option B, option C, or option D. Okay, so first of all, we should understand what is inductive transducers, right? So the meaning of inductive transducers are how the inductive transducers it does its function means inductive transducers works on the principle of inductance change due to the appreciable change in the quantity that we need to measure. For example, LVDT kind of thing is inductive transducers. Measures the displacement by measuring the voltage differences between its two secondary coils. Coils are the voltages. Okay. So after if we understood how does inductive transducers it works. Okay, so LVDT is not working or it's not uses external magnetic field. Yes, it is going to satisfy that. Temperature changes? No. LVDT is not depending on the temperature changes. If LVDT is depending on the if any devices is depending on the temperature changes, it's a thermocoupler. It's okay. Or the thermistor. Variation of supply voltage and frequency. Yes, it's going to satisfy the LVDT. So the right answer is option B, A, C. Okay, all of these. Okay, so the right answer is option D. You see that? Yes, option D is the right answer.
An LVDT exhibits linear characteristics up to displacement of plus 5 5 mm. Okay, has a linearity of 0.05 percentage. Option C is has an infinity resolution and a high sensitivity, which is of the order of 40 voltage per millimeter. Okay, so that is option C. Actually, it's a written option D. Sorry. Next option D is all of these. Okay, so the working or the phenomenon under LVDT we have understood, right? So I think it is going to satisfy option B, A, B, C. Okay, the answer is option D. All of these. Capacitive transducers are normally used for whether static measurements, dynamic measurements, both static and dynamic measurements, and transient measurements. Okay. So before we go for the right option, let us understand what is capacitive transducers first. Okay. Capacitive transducers are used to measure for both the linear and angular displacement. It is extremely sensitive and used for measurement of very small distance. It is also used for the measurement of force and stress, or force and pressure. So in that way, uh, so the right answer is option B, I think. Okay, it is a dynamic measurement. So we'll see the right answer. Yes, option B is the right answer. Ceramic materials used for piezoelectric transducers. Okay, why? The reason is A, B, or C, or D, all of the above. So before that, we'll understand what is piezoelectric transducers or piezoelectric sensors. So these are the devices by when we use these kind of sensors, we are able to measure the change in the pressure, okay, force, okay, strain or stress, okay, so something like that. And by using kind of crystal inside the piezoelectric sensors or transducers. So here the kind of crystal is the ceramic materials. Okay, it's made up with the ceramic materials. So why we are using ceramic materials in piezoelectric transducers is, I think it is going to satisfy all the options A, B, C. So the right answer is option D. Yes. An LVDT as a very good frequency response. We have understood what is LVDT, right? Abbreviation for LVDT is linear, variable displacement transducers. Okay, I guess. Uh, so it is basically used to measure the displacement. Okay, what's the displacement actually? The change in the position, right? The change in place actually. So we need to when we need to measure the change in place, okay, when the displacement has occurred, we can use this device LVDT. So it is good response for the displacement, not for the frequency, I guess. Is immune to stray magnetic fields? No, it's not immune. Has a zero voltage at the null point, even if the two secondary windings are not exactly similar. No. So option C is also okay wrong. So option D is right answer, none of the above. The all effect transducers can be used for measurement of whether power, displacement, current, or all of the above. Okay. So here all effect transducer is a kind of transducers. We know that each transducer is having its own applications. Okay. When we look into the all effect transducers, it's having multiple. We can use this device as a sensor for a multiple purpose. So we can use to measure power, displacement, current, speed, direction, I mean speed, direction, and current sensing applications also. Okay, so the kind of all these applications we can use the all effect transducer. So here, I mean the we can use to measure power, and also we can use to measure the displacement. I mean, so all effect transducer can be used as a LVDT, linear variable displacement transducers, and current. So option D is the right answer. In liquid level measurement, capacitance is directly proportional to what? Okay, whether for cross sectional area, distance between two plates, permittivity, none of this. Cross sectional area, no. Distance between two plates, no. It's indirectly proportional. So I think option C is the right answer, permittivity, because we know the relation between capacitance and permittivity, right? The capacitance is directly proportional to the permittivity in dielectric medium. So I'm not going to talk much about what is a dielectric media, and you know about what is a dielectric media, right? So you just relate that in the liquid level measurement. So the right answer is option C, I guess. Let's see. Yes. Hooke's law states that stress is okay whether directly proportional to strain, indirectly proportional to strain, equal to strain, none of these. Option A is the right answer. Okay. Stress and strain are directly proportional to each other. The measurement of quality factor is based on the principle of resonance, mutual inductance, piezoelectric effect, or none of these. Right answer is resonance. Okay. We know that quality factor Q is equal to FR by bandwidth. Okay. So FR it stands for resonance frequency. Okay. So basically we use quality factor to find out the resonance or the resonance frequency. Quality factor of a coin is given by uh, okay, so after we observe option A, B, C, D, the option A is the right answer, XL by R, because we know that the basic equation to find out quality factor for a coil is Q is equal to 2 pi FL by R, where 2 pi FL is, we can represent as a XL. We'll see the option. Option A is the right answer. Quality factor of a capacitor is the reciprocal of peak power dissipation voltage. Yes, we know that it's not I mean the peak is not reciprocal and power is not reciprocal. Yes, the dissipation is the reciprocal. So the right answer is option C. Quality factor of a capacitor is the reciprocal of dissipation. Or power dissipation across the capacitor part. Okay, sorry, capacitor plates. We'll see the right answer. Option C. Yes, so it's time to conclude now. Uh, Thank you for listening to me and spend your valuable time here. Okay, all the best to your diploma CET. Thank you, one and all, once again.